people, and welcome. In this video, we're going to be talking about the order of operations. Some of you may know this order of operations as Pemdas. We're going to be talking about Miss Aunt Sally a little bit. As always, disclaimer time. If I make a mistake, I am human. Just let me know where the mistake occurs, so that way we can both learn from my mistake. All right, speaking of Miss Aunt Sally, let's go ahead and determine where Sally is. Whenever you see Pemdas, that's just an acronym for please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Notice how each beginning letter corresponds with each letter in Pemdas. So here's P, E, M, D, A, and S for Pemdas. Now, each letter also represents a mathematical operation, things we do with it. So for the P, we have, that kind of looks like an R, but it's a P. We have parentheses or grouping. For excuse, for E, we have exponents. And that's things like x squared, x cubed. We have an exponent. For M, we have multiplication or to multiply. For D, we have division. For A, we have addition or add. And S is subtract. So why do we care about the order of operations or Pemdas? The order of operations, Pemdas, tells us what order to do our math in, to do our calculations in, so that way we get the right answer. Let's do some examples. Let's start out with example number 1, being 3 plus 4 times 5 divided by 10 minus 3 squared. So how do we go through Pemdas? Let me write Pemdas again. It's more like a checkoff list. So for instance, P is parentheses. So I'm looking for grouping. I can see 5 is inside of the parentheses, but notice how there is nothing for us to do inside of the parentheses. It's just a number. So we're going to go ahead and move on because I can't do anything with one singular number inside of the parentheses. Again, for parentheses, we're looking for things to do inside of the parentheses. Next up we have is E for exponents. Do we have any exponents? Yes, we do. Here it is. I have 3 squared. So that means that my next step is going to be rewriting everything the way that it was, except now I'm going to evaluate, or I'm going to solve what 3 squared is. Here's my thinking bubble. 3 squared is saying 3 times 3, or I have 3 twice. So since I have 3, 2, right here, 3 and 3, that equals 2, 9. So I'm going to put my 9 here. Next up, so we dealt with parentheses, exponents. Next up is multiplication. Do I have any multiplication? I have 3 plus 4 times 5. So yes, in fact, I do have multiplication. 4 times 5. So in my next step, instead of writing 4 times 5, I'm going to write what 4 times 5 is. So I'm going to say 3 plus 4 times 5 is 20. 10 minus 9. Next step is division. Do I have any division? Yes, I do, because this says 3 plus 20 divided by 10 minus 9. However, this is not in its simplest form. So we have to, I'm going to rewrite this. It kind of is like this, 3 plus 20 divided by 10 minus 9. These are groupings, grouped. So it's grouped in the numerator and grouped in the denominator. So even though we don't see the parentheses, they are grouped together. So in the beginning, imagine if it was like this, grouped all of it together. But because there's so many parentheses, we don't want to put too many because it gets confusing. So before we deal with our division, we have to deal with the parentheses. We have to deal with our grouping. So simplify before dividing. I'm going to erase this so it doesn't get too confusing. And that way it saves me a little bit of space. So let's deal with our grouping. 3 plus 20, we go and move on to addition. 3 plus 20 is 23. 10 minus 9 is 1. So now we divide. 23 divided by 1 is simply 23, and we have our answer. And we subtract it, just to put a check mark there. All right, let's try another example. We're going to do a few more. Try example number 2. We have 6 squared divided by 4 plus 2. Again, everything in the top is grouped, everything in the bottom is grouped. We have to deal with the groupings before we divide. Pemdas is in the corner of my head. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So again, do we have any parentheses? I don't have any parentheses. Do I have exponents? Yes, I do have exponents. I have 6 squared. Again, 6 squared is 6 times 6. We can write that in a thinking bubble. 6 times 6 is 36. We like that one because it rhymes. Okay, so 6 times 6 is 36. We write that on top. Then we have 4 plus 2 on the bottom. Do I have any multiplication? No. Do I have division? Yes, but we have to deal with our groupings first. So next thing we have is addition. So 4, 5, 6. So I have 36 divided by 6. Then we deal with our division. And that is 36 divided by 6 is in fact 6, since we know here. 6 times what is 36? And the answer is 6. Let's try example number 4. Just kidding. Example number 3. We have 156 minus 3 times 12 divided by 4. So again, do we have any parentheses? Yes. However, there's nothing for us to do inside of the parentheses. Inside of the parentheses, we only have a number, so we're skipping that. There's nothing there. Do I have an exponent? I do not have an exponent. Next up, what do I have? I have, let's write our PEMDAS down so we don't guess what's next. Parentheses, exponent, multiplication. I do have multiplication. 3 times 12. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So that means I have 156 minus 3 times 12 is 36, all divided by 4. Again, we have to deal with our groupings. So whatever's in the numerator, you deal with the numerator. Whatever's in the denominator, you deal with the denominator. So think of it this way. You're doing PEMDAS on top and you're doing PEMDAS on the bottom. And then at the end, you're simplifying your answer. So you're doing PEMDAS twice. So PEMDAS on top and PEMDAS on the bottom. So now we have subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 156 and 36. So we have 120. Then we have our 4. Now we simplify, and that equals to 30. Let's try example number 4. So I have 3 times 3 times 12 minus 4 times 3. Ooh, how do you deal with something with things like this? So what do we have? We have times, times, and times with a minus in the middle. So if you have something like this, just split it up into easier stuff. For example, I know that 3 and 3, that's 3 times 3. Then I have a times 12 here, minus, let's split that up, 4 times 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. We're going to bring down the times. We're going to bring down the 12. We're going to bring down the minus, and we're going to bring down the 4. And we're going to bring down the times and the 3. We're going to bring every single thing down. After that, you're going to keep multiplying things together because we have multiplication. So 9 times 12 is 108. Bring down the minus, bring down the 4, the times, and the 3. I don't know what this is, but I know I have multiplication. So again, we're still doing PEMDAS. Multiplication comes well before subtraction. Okay, so well before subtraction. This is first, then we have to do that. So 4 times 3 is 12. Bring down the minus, bring down the 108. So now what do I have? I have 108 minus 12. 108 minus 12 is 96. And that is your answer. Let's do one more example and we'll call it good for this video. So example number, I don't remember. We're just going to call it an example. Oh, you can't see that. Let me switch up to a pen. I have 5 times 3 divided by 3 plus 4 times 5 minus 8. So again, let's write out our Pemdas. So through PEMDAS, first thing is parentheses. We do have parentheses. Is there anything else for us to do inside of the parentheses? Yes. Inside of the parentheses, we have 5 minus 8. Okay, so that means, here's my thinking bubble. I have 5 pluses and I have 8 minuses. Remember, mathematicians are lazy. We're going to write a plus anytime we don't see one here in front of a number. So we have 5 pluses. I have 8 minuses. We're going to cancel out our 0 pairs. 1 negative, 1 positive, 1 negative, 1 positive, 1 negative, 1 positive, 1 negative, 1 positive, 1 negative, 1 positive. What are we left over with? 3, 3 what? 3 negatives. So once you have simplified what is inside of your grouping, inside of your parentheses, you're going to rewrite everything else. So what do I have here? 5 times 3 divided by 3 plus 4. Still keep it in parentheses because it means something. If it's in a bubble, it always stays in a bubble. So I have negative 3. After that, so we have dealt with parentheses. Do I have any exponents? I do not. Cross that out. Do I have multiplication? Yes, I actually have a few multiplications. I have multiplication here, and I have multiplication here. So let's simplify and evaluate these. This says 5 times 3. So what is 5 times 3? 5 times 3 is 15. I'm going to divide by 3. I'm going to bring down the plus, bring down 4 times 12. That is 4 times 12. You guys hear me? 4 times 3 is 12. However, we do have that minus. We're going to bring that minus down. Okay, so now I'm done with multiplication. Do I have division? Yes, I do. I do, in fact, have division. That is 15 divided by 3. 3 times what is 15? 3 times 5 is 15. We're going to add a negative 12 to that. So that means, what do I have? I have 5 pluses and I have 12 minuses. Don't worry about this. This plus just reads like and. If we're going to translate, that just means and. So here's our thinking bubble. 5 pluses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have 12 minuses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now we want 0 pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each one pairs up. They cancel out, so we get to cross them out. That goes away. What are we left over with? We're left over with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 what? 7 negatives. So we're going to simplify that even further and say we have 7 negatives. Again, order of operation is there for you to just know which order to do what step. Simplify with practice. This will become very simple for you. But again, with practice, if you're not practicing, this will remain difficult. As always, thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.